things. Okay. All right. So going to this came from yesterday's channeling. I'm not sure if they're going to say anything. They did quite a bit yesterday, but the apes. I haven't done an animal channeling in such a long time. Hasn't really come to mind. I'm not sure if the world's really that into it. As a pig channeling or a goat or ox or whatever you want, or fish, and I've done that stuff in the past. The open insectoid stuff. I don't know if people are so plugged into the drama, the alien drama stuff. Which I'm not that interested in. So, but anyway, connected to the Planet of the Apes consciousness, their point of view of our rustic ways, you can say. Just to give a different perspective. Of course, that happened yesterday. I wasn't expecting that to come through at all. Like the animal channel, animal worlds, I'm just going to leave it open for anything. And all of a sudden, those guys showed up. So that was different. And I remember channeling the apes ages ago. And they're talking about, destroying their planets and just war. Not always, but yeah, just like us, but probably worse. So, So I imagine many here they have some kind of memories of some kind. You don't hear about apes like ever. Probably for a good reason. They probably go insane. It can be a little bit intense when you think about it. Some memories are better off not having. As reptilians always get the rap, and it's always reptilian nonsense, and there's always somebody that's more aggressive. The apes can be more, even the pigs can be worse, but how many people want to hear it about pig people? I doubt it. Probably not. I mean, the pigs are worse than reptilians, I feel. God, I mean, they eat people and whatever. They're just, we got Harvey Weinstein. Is one example of it. It's probably others, but either way, look at Thanksgiving. So there's that. There's apparently a new Netflix movie that just came out. They cloned Tyrone. So it's a comedy about cloning people. It's really about, I haven't seen it yet, but the trailer kind of gives away a lot. Like an underground facility where they're cloning people, and then there's a chicken restaurant that's connected to, or something like that. It looks pretty funny. So we're going to some of the cloning energies that's connected to that. So it's kind of like a zombie movie with cloning, it feels like. That's a parody, so I mean, it looks like fun though. But at least it's going into some of the, I guess for them to put a budget into it to make something like that is a big deal. So we're going into some of that energy. And China and Taiwan, China, Taiwan war, or U.S. and China. Going to some more of those energies. It's building up. It doesn't mean it's going to happen this year. It might not happen at all. It might not. But either way, China is building up for it. And the U.S. is really not ready for it. It's out in the ocean too, and China's like right there. And I don't see a U.S. winning that war. And it's like you have more casualties and just death. And the U.S. is already in decline as it is. And the U.S. just gets weaker and weaker and weaker. It doesn't mean it's going to weaken down to nothing, but it's, it's not doing well. So, I mean, look at the cities. Baltimore is in decline. There's just a war zone in some parts. Portland, Los Angeles isn't doing so great. What was that? San Francisco, of all places, to run into the ground. So parts in New York. So it's like imagine parts of Maryland. It feels like, but so yeah, the U.S. is not doing well. So it's hard to say what we're going to get out of that. But either way, China is going. A lot of this is about the U.S. in decline. Really, can it survive? Can it, stay alive? So many people talk about aliens and all this stuff. Obviously, there's a lot more important things out there, and that's kind of a big deal if that does happen. Because our resources are going to be really restrained, especially like what happened during the Ukraine war, which that was manipulation too. It's another reason for them to raise prices on everything, and they're still doing that now. So, yeah, it doesn't mean it'll happen this year, or it might not happen at all. But like I say, either way, they are preparing for it, and you might hear more and more about it. So, it's just not the best frequency, of course. So yeah, the survival of the U.S. I mean, it'll still be around, just not in the best shape. It's nothing like what it used to be. They'll hang in there, but more lives will get more simplified, and delusional will just triple itself. Oh, that's right, I forgot about the Indians too. I was going to do something on that eventually. Well, the U.S. how it just took over the Indian land, just like they even gave the Indians land. Like they gave like what Oklahoma. I didn't realize they gave them all of Oklahoma, and then they just started taking it all back and giving it away to Americans, and just give the Indians just a little piece of land. Jeez. So the U.S. has always had issues, obviously. Not exactly the most positive past. But just like the Indians, they're not all spiritual, but that pretty much is connected to spirituality. And they weren't strong enough to fight. And many are going their spirituality, and they're not strong enough to handle this reality. Just shows, that's why they get so pulled into a delusion, the fifth dimension, Earth, the new Earth, and anything to get away from this. And reality bites eventually. So you can connect all the spirituality you want. This reality is still here, and many don't want to deal with it. So, the truth hurts. Let's put it that way. So, all right. All right, I'm Tony Conner, private sessions, scheduler. In our shop here, webinar, social network, behind the scenes, archive, and then you have first off, it's Chinese. So it's a little bit conversations going on. Like to build up to Ukraine, they give you a little bit of, it just, you can get little hints of what's coming, but there's nothing to, there are preparations. That's the only thing that's out there right now. So it is getting kind of intense, technically. Yeah, there it is. U.S. Making Chinese invasion of Taiwan deadlier than the Ukraine. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it's going to be ugly if it happens. Worse. And then you have they cloned Tyrone. So I guess the gangster is killed, and now they found a clone of him. I guess this is a government facility. Let's see if they have anything else. That's the chicken place. Yeah, there's that's when you see is they have like black SUVs driving around. Let's see, black. if they show that here. It's out there. Anyway, this is anyway, it's a let's see here, clone. They're not really showing anything here, but anyway, it's about cloning. Anyway, we'll just leave it at that. It's in the trailer. I'm not going to show that. So, okay, we're going to ape energies and go from there. Cloning frequencies. That's current going on. At least what they're putting out into the public. I just get the vibe that the cloning is similar to like a parody zombie movie. Of course, this is technically a zombie society. Maybe not everybody, but there's a lot of it here called normal. So, yeah, you don't have to accept that or not. But either way, it's still there. This is our version of a zombie reality. So. All right. So, okay. It does accept reality for what it is and just don't want to think or anything. Of course, some of you get so much delusion. I guess it's part of the evolution. So, okay. All right. We're going to the apes and see what we get from there. All right. Blessings. Greetings. We are the apes, or we are the gorillas, apes, chimpanzees. So there's some similarities to your reality, of course. Not that you have to fall into our direction, but some of the aggression comes from the ape consciousness, the ego. Want to be dominant, want to rule the world. There is some sympathy within the apes, at least. They realize the casualties, but they're still out for war. Like, they don't care. Unlike the reptilians that just don't have much of a sympathy. They do to a certain level, but they're just basically war machines, depending on how they're designed. But as for ape frequency, some of you might have relatives that look like an ape person. Of course, there's different versions of ape people, of course. But some of you might even have memories of being on an ape planet. It's not the easiest incarnations for sure. Yes, this makes this world look very weak. Of course, our worlds, at least it gets to this point, is usually a war planet, but with more war. Like, you actually see the war. Here you just see society not getting along with itself and going through its own existential situations. And it's difficult to talk to anybody here, which that's a reptilian side. At least ape people are a little bit more friendly to each other. Not always. It's like sometimes you see ape beings like, you might want to stay away from that guy. But usually it's a male dominant species. Well, meaning of power, but not always. So that's another, like you say, if you have a relative that's kind of a big person that looks like an ape, that's a little bit of a cool. But like I said, not all ape beings are big, but your grow-up people can't really get rid of that size sometimes. But a lot of them don't want to mess with anybody. They just want to hang out and do their own thing. They're not out for chaos. They just want some ape beings can be the most peaceful people you can ever meet. Like I say, you look at the jungles and you see apes and or gorillas, and they're just minding their own business, not doing anything. They're just watching their young and just hanging out. And you have that here also as for people. So like I said, the ape beings aren't exactly, the end of the world or anything like that. Well, on our worlds that does exist, but on this one, they can bring, we brought our knowledge here to calm the frequencies down, you can say, and to learn how to clear out our own conflicts. So, the idea is to send more of a peaceful energy here. But of course, there are beings here that are all about themselves, especially in government. Government feels more foreign Like it's not really your government, as some of you know. Like that's where the alien transplants come in. So those that are not interested in aliens, that's great, and that's understood. But the manipulators of your reality are usually alien entities in human form, of course. They're not going to walk around like a no. That's a good one. a what is it? A squid being or an octopus head. Walk around like an octopus being running your government, which some would have liked to do. But they have to take a human form. But some of them feel like that's a downgrade to their beauty. It's a downgrade to their inner beauty. So those are having like galactic memories and space programs and all that. Obviously, they don't remember ape beings for various different reasons. Some of them just lack imagination. Sometimes it's better not to remember certain details, but there's an animal element to all of this. But some are taking it's like they connect to the space programs, and it's like a carnival ride or something. I guess you could say there's some version of that, but some might get totally lost. Like it turns into entertainment when you're actually supposed to be clearing it, and others are just opening up a wound that they don't need to open. But ape beings can be also very caring and kind on multiple levels. They say we are connected to your DNA on certain levels. We can't go into all the details. You're still figuring yourselves out. Like antiques and paintings and stuff, culture. Our cultures has living is really more important than art. Usually, I mean there are our culture is basically like living in the jungles and things like that. It's not really about the artistic side. I mean, it does exist, but you have it more in this reality than we have in ours. Let's put it that way. So, blessings. Greetings to you. This is the consciousness, the cloning consciousness. Humanity is still not going to take it that seriously. It might be shown in fiction, but it is if it comes into your fiction, it shows it is part of your consciousness. So there is some awareness. It's like it's part of you wants to know in some form or another. But most of your society would just look at it and not think anything of it. But expect, strange disclosures over time. It's going to get more and more. Many people are looking for disclosures, and sometimes they're looking where there's really nothing. But still, either way. I mean, some of this disclosure that's here is from other worlds and just telling you who's here, and that's about it. Others might be looking to things where maybe looking too deep where there's really nothing there, but either way. As for the cloning frequency, that's not going to go away in your society anytime soon. Now, tapping into it's not the easiest because it has hide itself, especially your politicians. And you'd be surprised how many parents clone their kids or clone themselves to become kids and all that. They do that astrally, though. So it's a little bit of a wake-up call for those of you who are advancing yourselves to see more of it. It's just when in the physical, you realize the limitations of the physicality, where many just don't want to hear it. They can't fully, you see that with twins. That's a version of cloning, you can say, but that's astral cloning. And it doesn't mean it's a manipulation. It can just be that's what the soul needs for its progression. So sometimes it needs two versions of itself to understand this world, and sometimes it's just normal. Well, it's better having two versions of yourself than two heads. You're not in a two-head society. Well, it's not accepted. I mean, you don't have clothes for two-headed people. Not really. There's plenty of worlds out there that are like that, though. So just cloning is basically, like astrally, it's all very normal. Now, obviously, there's manipulations there, too. But here in the physical, it's hidden. You see versions of it. Of course, you see a person that says that's my mini me. So it's kind of a clone, sort of. It's still another. It's usually another soul, but not always. Sometimes, yeah, a parent has another version of themselves, but then again, they're so different. I mean, they might look the same, but they're still very different. So they're not necessarily a clone of each other, but either way, there's just different ways of going about it. Even with relationships, some people want to find their clone. You call it twin flame, or find your opposite clone, or something like that. Of course, there's government facilities. They're always going to continue with this. They're not going to make it public for various different reasons. They do manipulate it with animal DNA, which does not go too well. You can say there's facilities that are underwater to make sure if anything does get out, it won't survive. Anything tries to exist, to escape. So just to give you another idea of that. Yeah, chances of connecting to this physically is not likely. I just say the government is well, you have like the public governments obviously are kind of like the downgraded version, but the other hidden government is more scientific and insane. And they don't want everyone to know. Yeah, the side government. Yeah, they don't want anyone to. Yeah, they're psychotic. They can make mistakes and get away with it all the time, and then the people pay for it. It's unfortunate. Now, is that going to be discovered? Not anytime soon. I mean, through your own intuition, you might pick up on certain, especially some military bases. I feel like they're doing things. Some of them do cloning, but it's more underground, like cloning soldiers, things like that. Well, even they take DNA to try to make a super soldier all the time. Well, a version of it. So, blessings. Greetings. This is China's consciousness and the U.S. With Taiwan's war. Right now, Taiwan does not want to go to war at all. It's in the middle of this. It's like a middle of two brothers and want to fight over a sibling or an old family member, you can say. The U.S. is. This is also, there's another obviously military program that's going on. It's not being. So it's like this war is actually building up. Yeah, the secret military. It's building that up. So will Taiwan ever go to war? Possibly not. But there is funding being put to create other technologies. So it's another way of just moving money. Let's look at it that way. Black site money, dark money. Look at it that way. At least for now. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a public threat, but it's more, why would you have a public threat that goes on for years? They build a military, force around it, and they're just kind of sitting there being mad at each other. Unless something triggers it, which could happen, but they're trying to make sure that does not happen. Yeah, the casualties are not going to look too good if that does occur. But right now, it's just a buildup. But realize also there's a black site, dark money being moved around to create all kinds of other technology. It just basically to get more budgets and things like that. Are they going to go to the moon? Some of this you can say is about space over time. Some of it's actually time travel. Of course, good luck with getting anybody believing that. Other military experiments to perfect them that will never be public. Well, how to manipulate time and timelines. There are technologies to do that. Like bring in other versions of Earth, you can say, meaning that to divert like from war. Well, aliens do it all the time. Well, they can do it easier, obviously. Well, they can make sure that your world does not destroy itself because they can connect to other energies of other Earths. They can use their power, but they can also connect to other more peaceful realities. Just basically to block the end of your world, like to keep it from happening. Now, the decline of society is only so much they can mess with. They can't fix that. They can assist. That's why many of you incarnate. Well, at least to assist the decision of humanity to go into decline and try to raise the frequencies up, which is not easy. It's like when certain parts of the world people give up, and you incarnate to not give up, but then you have so many people giving up, and you're feeling that frequency. That's a hard job. And others just ignore it. They want to work on their looks and their prettiness and all that. I'll come back to them eventually. But then, yeah, service to self energy. This is, yeah, self love, you can say, to a certain level. We're not here to save the world, but there are humanitarians that do incarnate here from all parts of the universe to make sure this world does survive itself. But as for the war in Taiwan, it feels, yes, it's like a halt. I mean, it's talking, but like I said, it's another way just to move technologies around and all that. So I thought you'd be able to see it physically. Well, you might hear about budgets increasing and all that military wise and realize that's going to a black budget. So it's like mostly a black budget. Here's a little bit for your public escapades. What's this?